Hello and welcome to this next episode of Mattanory. You have to forgive us, we may be disturbed by a cat at some point during this, but that's one of those pleasures of owning such creatures in your house. This story is about new beginnings and changes to all our lives and to the world around us. It seems quite apt at the moment come on, to think about it, considering the time of year and the sort of strange times we have had over the years. I'd like to particularly dedicate it to two people who have had a particular tough time more than most, and that's to Alex and to Lynn. So I do hope you do enjoy this. The story is about the Cailleach and Bride. Now these are two people who you may have heard of. You may have heard of Bride as Bridget or Saint Bridget, depending on where you come from. Some of you may already know their tales, but I think that all of you would have met them before. The Cailleach was the first of all the gods and goddesses in the whole of Scotland, older than ever she knew, casting her huge shadow over the lands. Her frost-white hair tumbled down and over her back, and over a dun-coloured shawl which she always kept drawn tight around her shoulders. Her teeth were red and rusty and very, very sharp. The Cailleach only had one eye, but with that she managed to survey the mountains with sight as keen as ice and as swift as the mackerel of the seas. She had created this place many, many years ago, directing her hags to haul krills of rock so the mountains could be piled up to the clouds, and then with her magic hammer she would chip away at the rocks until she was happy with their form. But why make the mountains? Well, the Cailleach used them as stepping stones to travel across the lands, and also she had to build houses for her giant sons. Each giant was called the Four, but they quarrelled constantly. I think giants have a habit of doing that, I don't know why. But they used to hurl boulders around the land at each other, which these boulders can still be seen today. Now the youngest of the Cailleach's son, Angus Og, also known as Forever Young, he lived out to the west on the Green Isle, known as the Land of the Youth. The Cailleach would wander the mountains on stormy nights, singing mournful songs that echoed around the glens. And whenever she hit the ground with her magic hammer, the soil would become as hard as iron. Whenever she lost her temper, which was quite often, she was the fierceness behind the biting north wind and the anger of the pounding waves. One day, the Cailleach spied a young girl walking across a glen, and she took great pleasure, and she enjoyed sending harsh winds to make the girl's journey a little more difficult. But the girl didn't give in. She kept plodding on, more determined and with fire in her eyes. "Ah," thought the Cailleach, "another worker for me." And she swept up the terrified girl in a gale and lifted her up to the mountain castle, where she was imprisoned and put to work. That girl's name was Bride, and no matter how hard she worked for the Cailleach found fault with everything that she ever did and made her life a misery. But every day that passed, Bride seemed to become stronger and more radiant, and the Cailleach was becoming weaker and weaker. Even worse, Angus Og had dreamed of Bride, and he'd fallen in love with her. He kept asking his mother where could he find the beautiful girl from his dream. But the Cailleach had no intention of telling him. The winter storms became more violent and the frost harsher, the waves higher, and the temperature lower. One day, Cailleach gave Bride a brown fleece and said, "You must wash this in the mountain stream until it's pure white." Bride took the fleece and went to the stream and began to wash it in the pool below a waterfall. All day long she washed and scrubbed, her arms aching, her hands turning blue with the cold. But the fleece wouldn't turn a shade lighter. Cailleach sent the bride out on the second day, and then on a third day, washing and scrubbing the brown fleece. Now on the third morning, a grey-bearded old man appeared by the pool and asked Bride, "Why are you crying?" Bride explained the impossible task and said, "Who are you?" "My name is Father Winter," said the old man. "Here, give me the fleece, I can help you." He took the fleece and he shook it 3 times, and it became as white as the pure snow. "Now take this back to the Cailleach and tell her new herbs and new grass are on the rise." Bride thanked the old man and walked back to the Cailleach's castle. When Bride relayed the old man's message to the Cailleach, she howled with anger and called for her hags. "Ride in all the 4 directions, ride like the wind," she cried. "Strike the world with frost and chill so that no flowers bloom and no blade of grass survives." So howling winds whipped across the land and blizzards soon followed. Angus Og sat among the mountains of the Green Isle and watched the storms over Scotland that made travel impossible, even for a giant. But he couldn't forget his dream of Bride, and he was determined to find her. "'Tis the wolf month, and the tempers of the wolves are uncertain," thought Angus. "I shall cast a glamour on the sea and on the land, and borrow 1 day from August." So he worked his magic, and it wasn't long before the ocean was slumbering and the sun was casting shadows with the mountains. Angus rode on his white horse to Scotland, over to the Hebrides, the Minch, and across the Grampian Mountains, but Bride was nowhere to be found. So Angus waited in the woods near his mother's castle and rested. And early the next morning the chill returned, but he noticed a little path of white snowdrops across the woodland floor. Following it, he finally saw Bride walking through the trees, every footstep causing snowdrops to bloom where she had trodden. Angus hurried to meet Bride, and he took her hand. They shared gentle words and great hopes that day, and made a hiding place in the woods where even the Cailleach couldn't find them. And there Bride and Angus Og fell in love and made their promises to each other. The Cailleach rose late the next day, and with one eye she saw the changes happening across the land. But she had no energy in her limbs, not even for breath for shouting. She tried searching everywhere for Bride and Angus, but without success. And at dusk she threw her magic hammer under a holly tree, which is why nothing will grow under a holly tree. Then she transformed herself into a barn owl and flew silently, wearily and ailingly, to the Green Isle, the land of the youth. There the barn owl swooped down into a glade with a bubbling spring coming from the rocks. This was the well of youth, her last hope. The Cailleach sat silently by the spring all night, watching in her giant form. Then the first hint of light rose in the eastern sky. She held the water to her lips and drank. But suddenly the form of the Cailleach wavered and dissolved into the dawn air. And as it did, a pale green light shimmered across the glade, and violets and primroses began to bloom. Catkins appeared on the hazel, and fluffy buds on the willow, and the grass and moss pushed up towards the springtime light. Birdsong rang out from the trees. The rock glistened and sparkled with quartz and mica in the sunshine that shone. In the woods, the new king and queen of springtime, Angus Og and Bride, were filled with new strength and fire, and they danced, laughing, with the joy of it all. Thank you.